What's up, everybody? Welcome to Invisible Walls, episode 1, 2, 3, ABC, Do, Re, Mi, come with me.
You're reading my script.
I hope everyone is having an awesome Labor Day weekend, the last real weekend of the summer. I cannot believe the summer is over already, although I'm kind of glad because it has been a bit dry, although better than past summers, I think.
It's also been a bit cold, especially in this room.
Yeah, right now it's about 52 degrees in this room. I don't know what's going on with the ventilation in our building. But anyway, we do have a really good show today. I know I say that every week. Some of you guys often complain that we talk too long about one topic. Well, this week we have like 6 topics to get through. It's going to be like machine gun fire. We're not going to spend too much time on each one. And best of all, we have some great stuff to talk about. So hopefully you take us along on your travels through your Labor Day weekend. And because we have so many topics to talk about, a lot of people are going to be shuffling in and out of the show today. But here right now is, as always, Ryan Stevens.
Hello.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Yo.
Justin Spear.
Hey.
And myself, Shane Satterfield. All right, first we're going to talk about a classic revived. We've actually mentioned this game on the show a couple times. We've rarely had a really big look at this game. We've had a really first big chunk of gameplay. Justin Spear went to New York to play it. It's Castlevania Lords of Shadow. You played 6 to 8 hours of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a timer running, but it was a full day.
That means it's
a full day event.
That means it's more than 6 to 8 hours long. That's a good sign.
Yeah, I think. Well, for Link,
did you almost finish it?
24. No, I think I was actually less than halfway through, but
good.
probably like 45%.
So
nice.
What's the deal, man? I think we've been frothing over this one for a while.
Really?
Yeah, really. It's
I mean, people.
Where have you been?
It could be the rabies.
Castlevania's, yeah, it could be that. But yeah, Castlevania's a big franchise, I guess, and
yeah.
I guess people are still kind of waiting for them to do a really good 3D Castlevania.
Yeah. And
so they made God of War,
this
right?
is really discouraging.
No, it's not disturbing. I don't know. Did anyone here play any of the earlier 3D Castlevanias like Lament of Innocence or Curse of Darkness?
I played a little bit of Lament of Innocence, and then I played the N64 games.
I played the N64 ones as well. And
okay. Well, the N64 ones they're kind of bad. I mean, it's pretty generally agreed they're bad.
They were like hit and miss. I thought some levels were fun and some levels were atrocious.
I think Ryan and I agree on the N64 Castlevania games. There were some moments in there that were pretty great. There was some moments in them that were not great at all. But yeah. I think it showed some promise that possibly you could do a good Castlevania 3D game.
So I guess I would say Lament of Innocence. I'm just going to talk about it anyway. That is Castlevania informed by kind of Devil May Cry. You know, that's Devil May Cry had a huge impact on action games that kind of followed that. Mm-hmm. Then, God of War also, kind of built on Devil May Cry, but a different kind of template for building games. And this is the God of War, the post-God of War Castlevania. So it's an action adventure with a mixture of, jumping around, navigating your environment. There's combat, combo base. You air launch people, thanks Dante. Whack people in the air, whack on them for a while. You upgrade your moves.
So a little less reflexy, a little more pound the buttons.
Well, I mean, the combat is not spammy at all, but it's actually really involved. I don't know if it's maybe has too many elements in it, but there's definitely stuff you can do. It's not just a straight button masher.
Combat-wise, I guess, is having a whip pretty much just like having chains you can swirl around?
It is. You have the square, which is the direct, and the triangle. It's just like God of War. You have the straightforward attack and then the wide area attack.
We're not tracking towards another Dante's Inferno here, are we?
I think we should be tracking a little higher than that.
Good.
But I mean, like Dante's Inferno, it's clearly built on this template. And then what defines it is whatever extra they add in terms of, they have a magic system. You do get upgrades. You can revisit previous levels.
Now, aside from the setting, the characters, and the story, what makes it feel like a Castlevania game?
That you're fighting with a whip, I guess. And
is that it?
You have a classic sub-weapons, but I mean, Lament of Innocence really felt like Devil May Cry. This really feels like God of War. But I mean, I guess it's really the settings and stuff that define it. So I think they call it a reimagining of Castlevania. So some characters have similar names to past characters. They have actually Cornell, the werewolf dude. He's one of the Lords of Shadow, and he's like, hey, what's up? But the story's totally separate. It's totally separate. But they've obviously invested a little bit in making kind of an interesting story. The graphics look good. There
are vampires, right?
Soundtrack,
There are vampires.
Oh, there are vampires. There's at least I saw Carmilla in like the game's pre-roll or whatever. So
Is there delicious meats in walls?
no, there's no delicious meat in walls. You can regain health by you can use light magic to kind of toggle it on, and when you beat people, you know, God's like, good job, and he throws you some HP. And
do you ever get at any part of the game where you're kind of navigating a map rather than getting, you know, shuttled forward all the time?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, while it does have elements where people would call it, they would say backtracking or revisiting previous stages, but unlike, you know, a Symphony of the Night type game, things aren't really interconnected. You have a chapter. When you go into a chapter, you see points on the map that represent stages. So you go into that individual stage, and then from there are kind of linear tracks you get on.
Now, can you warp there using the map?
You can quit out of a level and then go to whatever, but each level is going to be like at least like, you know, 20, 30 minutes of your time. So it's not, if you're warping to points, you're warping to stages, linear stages, and then you can go through the stage. Well, I mean, it depends. Some people, they're like, oh, you know, that's cool, backtracking, but I don't know. The thing is, you're always going through linear tracks. So if you go through a stage, you go through it, you'll see something, and they'll say, you are not powerful enough to reach this item. You don't have the correct ability. So then, you know, I guess you make a mental note so you can go back to that stage later.
What about platforming, candle whipping? Is most of the game inside or outside? Because in Castlevania, most of the game takes place indoors. You finally get outside, you're like, ooh, that's cool, but it's always like a little courtyard or whatever that gets you to the next building. Yeah,
well, this is not like that at all. This is more epic adventure, God of War, traversing the countryside. There's actually a lot of variety in the levels, though. There's like kind of like town setting and graveyard and underground caverns and frozen over lake and like kind of South American looking ruins.
Are you in a castle called Castlevania at any point?
No, maybe eventually. I did go into an abandoned castle and fight the Malphus, the crow boss, and this one's just like a witch. So you kind of go up into it, but the castle's totally, you know, it's not Dracula's castle.
I know this is more of maybe a plot question, but like, you know, they kept showing the masks.
Mm-hmm.
Do the masks have any like sort of gameplay, or is that all story?
Actually, Lords of Shadow are holding relics that are basically like, you know, collect them all type thing. You get like a
so you
gauntlet.
Kill a boss, you get a piece.
Yeah, you get like a gauntlet that lets you can smash certain items, and you know, you can like blow a piece of scenery back and
someone
open
has
a
the
passage.
mask.
And then there's also boots that let you dash, and you can dash through certain walls, which is maybe seemed a little bit redundant, but you can use everything in combat. You're getting new abilities, and then each Lord of Shadow kill gives you a piece of the mask, and that's obviously a huge plot point. The dude's trying to either bring his wife back from the dead, or, you know, it's not quite clear what his goal is. He's kind of being urged forward by Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart's like is in the Brotherhood of Knights. You know, it still has the heavy religious tones. You know, so he's like, go forward, and you need to kill these dudes and do stuff. And you're like, I don't know, is he telling me the right thing to do? This story's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
kind of dig it. But yeah, basically collect the pieces, become more powerful, and then, you know, there's
what
should
about
be a big twist.
the like Shadow of the Colossus type fights? Did you get any of those?
Yes, 2 of those, and it's a lot like Shadow of the Colossus. I don't know. I mean, it really is. It really is. It's no, you know, they're not really. I think they pretty much openly admit it. You know, they're like, yeah, there are big bosses, and you jump onto them and you hold on to grip, and then, you know, you platform and you get to a weak spot and you stab it with your cross until it explodes. But it is a little different from Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, like the rest of the game, you're basically following like linear patterns. Like, there's one way to get the Colossus to fall. You trigger one thing, he'll hit the ground, you climb up on his hand. So basically you're repeating the same steps. I mean, and it's like the platforming in general. It's God of War style platform where you're shimmying on ledges. There are specific points where you can jump to a specific other point. So basically you need to do things in the correct order. You know, make the Colossus stagger, jump on his arm, jump from here to here, almost like a quick time event basically, because he's trying to smack you off his arm, so you have to move at the right time. It's kind of cool. I mean, it does add a really big, you know, oh, holy shit, this dude is huge. This is a big epic moment, I guess. But you know, it's also it's a little derivative, I guess. But
after talking to you about this game, it doesn't really sound like a Castlevania game at all to me. All right, next we're going to talk about Deus Ex Human Revolution. Lots of trailers for this game. Well, not necessarily a lot, but a couple before Gamescom. At Gamescom, we finally got to see a trailer with some actual gameplay in it. Obviously, there was that big leak that showed like 15 or 20 minutes of the game not long ago. But this was the first official piece of media that actually showed the game in action. Bloodworth, you've been following this game pretty closely. How is it tracking?
It's looking really good. Yeah, basically the Gamescom trailer was just the demo that I saw at E3, and it looks like that's kind of the way they're playing this out schedule-wise. So everything you're going to see while I'm talking is not going to be what I saw, because whenever they decide to cut the Gamescom demo, it will probably be PAX or TGS or something.
Right.
But yeah, so the new demo it is a lot like the Witcher 2 demo that Miguel saw, to where it was early on in the game, and they went through 3 different ways that you could take it on. And the scenario was that there was this guy that got killed in a riot or something like that, and his body was taken to the morgue at the police station. But like there was something didn't add up, because he was with these people that were like anti-implants, anti-augmentation, but he actually had an implant.
Right.
So your job
Pro
was
hypocrite.
so your job was to go in there and grab the implant off of his body. So you had, they went through the demo 3 different times. You could either go in guns blazing, full combat with the police officers, which, I asked him, is like that going to have repercussions down the road? And he said, yeah, it's probably, you're going to probably make an enemy of the police doing that. And then the other option was to go in socially, which was interesting, because basically it turns out that your character had history with the guy at the front desk, and so you basically use your conversation tree to kind of manipulate him into letting you through, and then you can walk through and get down to where you need to go. But then you're probably not going to be able to check out as much, because if you do anything suspicious, people are going to catch on.
Right.
And then the last way was to go in the stealth and hacking route, and find an entrance into the police station and hack your way through and get around the guards that way.
Now, what were the different results depending on your approach?
The
So obviously
result-
you mentioned the cops. They're probably going to have a distaste for you on down the road. What about the other 2 ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think with those are probably more neutral as far as making anyone upset. Although that maybe something with that guy could happen. But yeah, so the end result basically is you get the thing off of the body. But they used it to show off how your different like putting skill points into different abilities would help those kinds of paths. So like for stealth, if you have the strength to push a crate and then jump onto a crate, and then you can also augment your jumping. You can.
You need superhuman strength to move a crate.
Well, have
These
you
are crates
actually
from the
tried to
future.
push a crate? They are not light.
You have a
Well,
dolly?
it depends on what's in it. They could have like
No,
freaking
even
crate
a
of
crate
robots.
with nothing in it is pretty freaking
Fishing
heavy.
sinkers. A crate full of fishing sinkers.
But like jumping over fences, there's separate abilities to mask sound or to put you in a cloaking device.
I'm curious about the guns blazing that you saw, because I mean, for anyone who's played Deus Ex, especially you said this looked like it was early in the game. Anyone who's played Deus Ex games is full-out assault is not a very good
Yeah, it's
solution.
usually the worst solution.
At least early on, if you upgrade your weapons and stuff. But I mean, it had some really kind of what are kind of seen as maybe some archaic ideas now, where accuracy was kind of determined by your crosshairs, but also like kind of a statistic. And I remember, I think back in the day, Warren Spector said, anytime they did like focus groups, almost everyone would always go for the more like combative like kind of solution over like the social. Sneaking would fit in there sometimes, but people would rather go guns blazing and stuff. So I guess my questions are, did each of the ways seem like enticing? Like, is the social one
Fun
enticing
and enjoyable?
Yeah, I thought so.
Did
because
combat seem like did combat seem twitchy? Like, did it reward like good reflexes?
yeah, I would say the combat felt good as far as from what I could see. One thing I thought was interesting is that it's more cover based when you're in a combat mode, and he actually grabbed a copy machine and was like wheeling the copy machine around and using that as cover, like a portable cover.
Movable cover. Good.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed while he was in there is that there's a sign pointing to an armory. So if you're going in there combat and you can survive combat, then you're probably going to get rewarded. You can go
reload.
You're probably not going to be able to go into that armory and get
ammo.
those guns unless you're going the combat route.
So it looks like maybe they do have a dangling carrot there for you in case you decide to approach it from a different perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so that was basically it. I mean, obviously going through the same demo 3 different times, you kind of, saw the same area a bit. Combat did, it did look difficult. I think he might have actually died going the combat route once. There's also upgrades that kind of let you see through walls, and that works for either the combat or the stealth way.
How do the in-game visuals look?
If you saw the gameplay trailer, which I know that doesn't have like a HUD or anything, I mean, it that's basically what it looks like. It's kind of like a soft glow. And
They spent a lot of time on the look of that
look,
game.
yeah.
And would you say it's paying off?
Oh yeah, the game looks good, especially when you get into like the close-ups on the character spaces and things like that.
So the big story, or one of the big stories this week, was Ubisoft came out and basically declared that it cannot make a profit off anything but a AAA game. They said sort of splitting up their money on multiple projects has not turned out to be a profitable proposition for them. They'd rather spend all that money on those 4 or 5 games on one huge game. They talk about new IPs, how they have to spend a lot of extra money to market them, to make sure people know that they're out there. How do you guys feel about this? Personally, I think it comes down to the quality of the game. I mean, you don't have to have a AAA game to make a good game necessarily. And how are they defining AAA
games are more expensive to make in general.
Sure.
You need much bigger staffs. Like, like XCOM 1 was made by 6 people. And I'm sure, like...
Good example.
Yeah, we've
Great
been talking
game.
about that. And then I'm sure like any middling HD game that's coming out, right? PS3 360 game these days have teams of like 50 plus people.
I think it goes, what's the
Gotta make
definition of a
them
AAA
graphics.
game? Is it how much money you spend on it? Is it how many people?
The critical
Is it how
acclaim.
Yeah,
the critical acclaim? I mean, what is
I
a
think
AAA game?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nebulous?
I am very worried about what this means for Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, that and I Am Alive. Is I Am Alive now going to be pushed as to a launch game for next gen?
Well, I think we're also seeing the rise of quality of DLC. Is Justin? I know you played Lara Croft.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that thing is crazy.
Very
I mean, it wouldn't have been shelf commercial. It wouldn't be.
you wouldn't pay $60 for it.
Not counting the Lara Croft name or the Tomb Raider name, like you look at it and you see this isometric view and it's not Diablo and you're like, what? But I mean, that game is great, polished as heck, and just all around really, really good. Like, I mean, this stuff, the Hydrophobia game that's about to come out, who knows about the actual quality, but the tech and like the production values behind it are insane. So I think we're seeing a lot of push to the DLC market, which of course you don't have to worry about used game sales. You don't have to worry about, paying for gas for the freaking trucks that are going to ship your games to brick and mortar. So I mean,
well, the line's getting blurred, right?
Well,
I mean, it's to the point where
themselves
the quality level is so high of DLC that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to rationalize spending $60 on a game.
Well,
Yeah.
Ubi
Well,
themselves
what-
are publishing From Dust is
Yeah.
going to be DLC, and that looks awesome. I mean, again, I don't think it'd be the best commercially viable game out there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ubi's
at
missing
Best
the boat,
Buy.
right? The bottom line is if you make great games, they sell. Not all of them. I think the first Beyond Good and Evil is probably something that they keep looking at and saying, well, that game was great and the critics loved it, but it tanked.
I think one of the problems is even though good games will sell, they may not sell enough to really justify these extreme costs. Again, if I can pull up like Demon's Souls, I mean, I think it sold around maybe a hair under $500,000 in the U.S. and
That's pretty damn good.
But Atlas didn't. That's great for Atlas because they only have to care about licensing and translation. They didn't have to foot the cost for any of the actual production. They just had to pay whatever developer royalties there are. And that was a game, out of left field. Everyone loved it. But then,
But that game makes my point, doesn't it? It's like you don't have to spend a ton of money on a game to make a great game that people want to buy.
But if that game had been produced in the U.S.,
But why?
I mean, it would have cost a lot more.
Why?
Well, From Software has a good reputation
the 3 years
for
of the 3
just
years
putting
of
out games.
But why is
production.
it different being made in America versus being made where it was
No,
made?
I'm just saying, like, well, that's what I'm trying to say is it being made in Japan, they didn't have to foot those bills. So that was a runaway success. If it had been made here, it would have been much less profit margins.
But why? Why is the development in Japan versus America any
Because
different?
Atlas didn't have to foot any of the bill for the production. That was because Sony produced it in Japan. They only have to pay for the licensing.
Right, but that still comes. And we're not talking about like the little company that Sony worked with. We're talking about Sony. Did Sony make money off of this game? Did the person who actually ultimately put the money up to have the game developed make a profit off of the game? And
Far
I would
less
say
because
yes.
they didn't publish it in the U.S. So far less than they could have made. But then you look at not Psychonauts. What's that game?
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend. Like I guess
I don't know how you pulled that. I know the Tim Schafer game, but
It's like the next,
I mean,
next one up in
impressive.
line.
From what I can guess, I mean, Double Fine's making new games now, and they're all DLC, which is telling as well. But I mean, you have to guess that studio has been open 10 years. You have to imagine they've eked out a profit or some sort of survivability through that game, even though it seems like with that huge marketing budget and like 3 years in production and it didn't even chart on the NPD even 1 month.
Then Ubisoft has a game
it did.
itself that contradicts what it's saying and contradicts what you're saying to a certain extent. I mean, look at Just Dance. I mean, what did they have? 30 or 40 people working on that game? Maybe. The game sort of went viral and got a bunch of momentum on Twitter. All the moms started buying it, etc. Now they have Just Dance 2 ready to go.
And Michael Jackson, which on the Wii is using the same tech.
Right,
Yeah.
like 5 months later. I mean, it's not just about spending Google's of money on
Google's of money.
Google's of money.
Google's money.
On production values. I mean, to me, what Ubisoft is saying is like a game has to look amazing or it's not going to sell.
I think I didn't read the full interview. I only read the abstract article, but I think they're also kind of arguing for maybe the core market as well, because the core market is definitely after a lot of these AAA games. But there's still a huge splinter groups that buy
what
turn-based
is a AAA
strategy.
game?
Well, I think maybe what they're looking at is like the last Prince of Persia. I don't know how well it did, but I don't remember it charting.
But it wasn't a very good game.
Exactly.
Talking about the movie.
I think what they're figuring out is you can put as many shaders and visual tricks in a game as you want, but ultimately, if the game isn't good, it's not going to sell. And maybe they need to own up and say, well, maybe our games just weren't good enough in the design and gameplay department.
But even games that aren't great, but that still get like 7s and 8s around here. Or let's just say like in the 7s, Okay, maybe Bionic Commando got a high 6, but that game sold like 17,000 its first month.
I think we gave it 7 or better though.
Oh really?
Miguel
Okay.
kinda
I mean,
liked it.
it's. I mean, and that game costs a shit ton of money to make, and years of development.
Yeah, because they spent all their time trying to make the game look good instead of making sure that it played well and that they had everything ironed out and then it was polished and buffed and ready to go to market.
Back in the day, if you had a small development team and you did it like I know someone who worked on the PlayStation 1, and I was like, how many units do you really need to sell to break even? And she said back in the day, if you could, like, for the average title, not the AAA title, if you sold 30,000 units, you probably hit into the profit margin. And I think that's getting harder and harder. I mean, we know that more and more people, it's not like people are going like blue ocean with their game libraries. People are buying like very, very specific titles, and they don't branch out too much. It's not so many people don't have that whim purchase so more. I mean, consumers are better informed and stuff like that. I mean, with all these websites and stuff like that.
Well, it's a bigger risk. It's $60 now to buy a game. I think that's made consumers a little more cautious. But this is also kind of our fault as consumers, right? Because as we've said on the show a million times, you vote with your money. What you spend your money on is going to determine what happens on down the road in this industry. So if people keep buying the sequels, keep buying these rehashes, these games that add a feature or two on top of what they had done before, if they keep buying them, that's what they're going to keep making. So in some ways, people like us are guilty of sort of propagating this whole aesthetic that Ubisoft, but then Ubisoft
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy sort
of. Right.
Yeah.
And then Ubisoft is kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, because who has made more shovelware this generation than Ubisoft? Nobody. Look at its Wii catalog. I mean, they make one like game where they actually spend some time on it, and then the rest is all like off-road mud racing 885 or whatever. You go to Best Buy and look in the bargain bins, it's almost all Ubisoft Wii shovelware.
There's a lot of small companies I've never even heard of making Wii shovelware, and I have to imagine that they are actually making money because it just keeps coming out. I mean, it's like you said, going to Best Buy and looking through that stuff is bizarre, like M&M Kart Racing.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Elevator Spy game, I don't remember what it was called, but these are the games that I think that kind of like harken back to like the PS1 era, and also the Wii's easier to develop for, where hey, you sell 30,000 units to Best Buy, even not at a full price, and yeah, you're fine, you're set.
Well, I think the other problem too is you look at big budget games that have tanked, that I guess Ubisoft's definition of AAA, and the games didn't have sort of the themes that typically sell. There weren't any bald space marines. Beyond Good and Evil had a female protagonist, and it was like had photography in it.
What about Mirror's Edge? Kind of the same thing, I guess.
Same deal. It's like
Broke a million
dystopian future.
worldwide, though.
They still seem so disappointed with it though when they talked about it.
Yeah.
So I think to me, like the setting of a game and the people who are in the game have a huge impact on whether people become interested in it or not. Then it's up to you to make sure your gameplay is up to snuff, your design is solid.
Did you see that? I think it was the Gama Sutra article about how Activision doesn't want female protagonists.
No.
Yeah, because they don't sell.
Yeah, it's like some ex-Activision employees were like, they wouldn't let us have women be playable characters.
Which is weird because basically you get to look at their ass for 20 hours. You would think dudes would be into that.
So the Tomb Raider argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about money, and Xbox Live trying to gouge us for an extra $10 a year. That's not really gouging, is it?
I don't like it. I think that they should have
How long have you been on Xbox Live, Bloodworth?
5 or 6 years.
And
Yeah.
you're upset by this?
A bit. I mean, I kind of lucked out because my renewal just went through, so I won't have to deal with this for a year. But
Can you think of anything else that you pay for in this world that has not gone up in price in 7 years?
Sex.
no, I don't think.
I don't know where you're
It's
shopping.
that same
bro.
girl in
I
the
don't think
corner.
my
She just
standard.
she may
I
get
don't
a
think my
little
standard
older.
internet bill really went up at all. It's pretty much the same price it was.
Yeah, I would say my standard internet bill maybe even went a little lower. Can you think of anything else in this world that has not gone up in price in the last 7 years?
I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday off the show, and I think the ESPN deal is probably a huge driving factor. I mean, cable companies pay ESPN a buttload of money to have it in their cable package, and I'm still not quite sure how big ESPN's going to be, and I know I'm not going to use it at all.
Sure.
But I think that's probably, I bet you every Xbox Live subscription is kicking ESPN a buck or two a year easily.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they didn't go with a platinum model. Like compete with PlayStation Plus, put out some exclusive early demos, do that kind of thing.
Because they know that no one's going to use it. Just like Sony's
people are
finding
mu-
out right
but-
now about
well,
PlayStation Plus.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like we were saying, it's gravy for the people that do use it. It's like you're getting a little extra bonus from that.
I mean, we are getting a ton of new features. I mean, remember at E3, they went through a litany of new features that are going to be a part of Xbox Live.
I'm just curious how much I'm going to use. a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
my
those.
problem.
Well, I mean, I will use ESPN. I'm a huge sports guy. So, I mean, to me,
For
I
you,
will get
yeah,
a lot
no,
of
it's
use out of
great.
that. I think it's great. What about Hulu? I mean, you're going to use Hulu, right?
But you still have to pay for Hulu.
On Xbox Live you do? I thought that was only PlayStation.
No, Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus is a Hulu run $10 subscription.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Hulu Plus costs money, but you still need the high tier service to be able to use it.
I mean, I signed up for Xbox Live the day it launched back on the original
I do
Xbox.
use Netflix though,
Yeah,
which I don't think you can use on Silver, but I'm not quite sure.
And I mean, I've had this same service has gotten better and better and better for 7 years. That's almost a decade, and I've never paid a penny more for it. So to me, I mean, you look at the cost of inflation, all
Well-
the features that have been. Think about the first Xbox Live and what was on that. I mean, if anything, we were getting ripped off then.
No,
Yeah,
easily.
well,
because now what we're getting for that same amount of money is insane.
Well, I also think the $60 a year I don't have such a problem with. It's the increase to $10 a month from what was it, like $6.99 or $5.99 or something like that. If you buy it, if you're a kid and you're buying it month to month, I think that's a little lamer.
Well, I think they're trying to entice you to buy the full.
Yeah, well, also that
Obviously,
whole
but-
like the fire sale thing, the $40, buy as many months as you want right now.
And like at PSN Plus, we mess around with it at the office. I don't think anyone here's. Have you gotten it, Blood?
No.
You didn't.
I mean,
get it,
and let's
did you?
really break it down too. I mean, you're spending what, an extra 75 cents a month for Xbox Live
83 cents I
or
think it was.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
dude. I
But
mean,
as
it's
a
pretty
gamer,
ridiculous
I
to
have
complain.
certain rights. The
What
right
rights
to
are
bitch
the,
about
what rights are
everything.
those?
The right to
To
complain.
not use a
yeah.
service if you don't want to. That's your right.
I just wish they were launching with a couple more services that were more relevant to me. I mean, yeah, in the big scheme of things, not that big a deal, especially if you're buying it year for year. But
But what if they don't-
again, as a consumer, it's you never want to see prices go up, and if you're not an ESPN guy, it doesn't seem like much is there right now.
You should check out women's tennis. It's not.
But
I listen to it. I listen to it, but I don't
the
watch
reason
it.
there is HGTV, women's tennis, by the way.
Yeah, and like Shane, did you get PSN Plus?
I do have PSN Plus, and it's PSN pointless.
It's I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff's like vaguely enticing. I like how every month there's a new PlayStation Classic you can download.
Well, I got
which-
my
for free?
I got free Wipeout, but now Bloodworth is telling me that if I ever end my subscription to PlayStation Plus, then
they turn
Wipeout
off
will
your
go
Wipeout?
away.
Yeah,
they take it
it's-
away.
They wipe
and those
it out?
those hour long
They
those
wipe
full,
it out,
full
yeah.
game hour long demos is like, I think that's just kind of weak.
I haven't really seen anything that
file.
will
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
have to download the whole game.
I mean, the free stuff's always cool, but I mean, Xbox really does have you by the balls. If you want to play multiplayer, you have to get Xbox.
Well, I
Gold.
mean, you get it like a free monthly pass when you buy a game that has online.
But you can only use those so many times, right, Justin?
Is that true?
It's a 24-hour pass that you can use as many 1 months as you.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think even if you start putting it, they'll stack onto your account those 1 month cards. So if you buy games that has a 1 month card, put that code in, and I think it actually gives you an extra month on your subscription.
What's the last
coming
game
to
to
those?
actually have that? Because
Yeah,
I
'cause
haven't.
The
gotten
last
any
couple
months
games I
in a
bought
while.
definitely didn't have those.
Yeah, they're getting cheap.
But yeah,
But they need other things you don't know about, right? You know, are they completely reworking the infrastructure? Are they adding tons of new servers in specific regions? I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes we don't know about that they could be spending $1 billion on to upgrade the infrastructure.
Yeah,
of
It'll be
Xbox Live.
fine.
I just wish there was more stuff. I don't know. Like I said, $10 over a year, I'm not going to feel it. I feel bad for the kids that do buy it month to month. Because I mean, back in the day, like that's how I did Phantasy Star Online. You
Yeah.
know, for stupid Hunter's license.
Yeah, that you couldn't get rid of.
Great controller buttons. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, the transformable controller from Microsoft for $64.99.
Well, that includes the charge kit, which they usually
Charge.
So what
Yeah,
else
you
does
want
it turn
anyways.
into? I'm confused.
And that's the only way you can get it, mind you. You cannot
what's
buy
a
this
robot
controller
form?
by itself. It only comes with the charge kit.
So, but yeah, the D-pad is interesting. I think they did the transformation thing just so they could patent it.
Probably. And have something to talk about.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they made the controller buttons gray, because now it's going to completely mismatch every on-screen prompt ever.
Every game is color-coded to show you what buttons to use. It's completely ridiculous.
It's like the hardcore only controller.
Now, we haven't got to touch the controller yet to know whether the D-pad is better. Now, the controller that came with the 360 Slim, they did adjust the controller a little bit. They did kind of mess with the D-pad, and it is better, but my D-pad squeaks. Every time I hit it left, it goes, ee, 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 ee. It's pretty annoying, so hopefully they fix that. But $64.99. Most people already have a charger at home.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a little dolphin in your controller.
That seems pretty brutal to me. I mean, $65 for a controller. That's
Dolphin, eh?
They've always gouged on the hardware. I'm
They
glad,
have,
I'm
like
glad
the-
the hard drive prices finally came down.
the wireless adapter. How much is that? It's like
$100 now, I
dude,
think.
that's insane. That
Yeah.
is insane.
Just buy a Slim.
Well, now there's no reason to have an old machine. I mean, you could save so much money just on the wireless technology. Plus, you get the better wireless technology in the new Slim. So,
And you get a Connect port.
Yeah, you don't
What
have to
does that
plug
mean?
you don't have to plug the Kinect into something. Like,
doesn't it just go in through USB?
Why everyone
well,
looking
yeah,
at me
but
like
if
that?
you don't have the Slim, you have to actually plug a power into the Kinect.
Oh, got you.
The Slim actually powers it.
Self powers it. Got you. But $64.99 for a controller, I give that a big. Eh.
No matter how intense the game experience is on a controller or even a mouse and keyboard, the fact that this is suddenly requiring your whole body to move. Now, granted, it's your hand, but it can track how high I go, how low I go. So I crouch, it goes down with me. Everything I do matters to this thing.
This is, one-to-one. It's doing exactly what I want.
Ooh, look at that!
All right, so finally, the PlayStation Move is in the house. We got it about a week ago, and we had, about maybe 3 to 5 work days to get reviews for all the games done. So we were a little bit behind. We didn't get all our reviews up on Embargo Day. We got a few up. They all should be up now. We did bring in a new crew of people to talk to us about the Move because they've been playing the games like maniacs since we got it. Patrick Morales is here.
Hello, hello.
Miguel Lopez is here.
What's up?
And Brooks Huber is in the house.
Yo, let's get it started.
So let's talk. Let's.
In here.
That song is stuck in my head after Start the Party.
All right, so let's talk about the overall impressions of the Move technology. We've had chances to see it on showroom floors where it's really freaking loud and you really can get a chance to really sort of sink yourself into it. Now that you guys have spent a solid week playing these games, working with the technology, how do you guys feel about it? Better than the Wii with Motion Plus?
I feel it's the same with Wii
Yeah.
Motion Plus.
Yeah?
Yeah, honestly.
Not better, really?
It's
pretty
comparable.
It's at least as good, and depending on what game you're playing, it feels about as good or better or worse. Actually, some games
Really?
just doesn't work.
I think the one-to-one is, it's kind of hard to really feel like how, especially when there's no like real physical feedback. And I know there's a little bit of rumble, but like it's hard to tell how like actually one-to-one it is. But
Well, what you can do is you can sit there and you got to find a game where it allows you the full
Well, that's what I was going to say.
rotation.
In Tumble, you can completely rotate that block, and it's all there. The depth perception stuff's a little more floaty, but the actual rotation of the one-to-one it's completely one-to-one. But I mean, I think back to the Wii pre-Motion Plus.
Right.
the stupid baseball home run derby game, just moving the bat all over the place, wasn't really 1-to-1, but it sure felt like it at the time. And the leap from that to 1-to-1, it may not be as big as people are think.
But Motion Plus is still a little janky. Like, if you have a game where you have the controller in free 3D space and you move it around, it's a little jerky. It's not completely smooth.
Or if you're playing Zelda and trying to do archery
Right.
on an E3 stage.
Well, that's an infrared issue. But it's for me, when I've messed around with the Move, and sometimes it's weird the way I tackle things at trade shows, I don't always necessarily go and say, I need to get through this game as much as possible. I almost try to break the game sometimes, especially with the Move. Like, I really want to see if the tech works. So I would stand there, and I just kind of move it around, see how smooth the motion was on screen. And to me, it seemed like dead on. Like, literally, no jerkiness, no glitchiness with that stuff. And now that you've played the games, you feel like maybe that's not the case?
Well, no, you definitely get the impression that it's smooth tech, especially like when you're playing Sports Champions, the table tennis game. Basically, that's really good at reading the angle of your paddle, the velocity at which you hit it, the angle from which you hit the ball. Like, it's really impressive when it comes to that. But I think it's ultimately a matter of how well the games themselves implement it. But on a fundamental level, yeah, I think you're right. It does work really well.
The tech's solid.
Yeah.
Brooks, your what was it? Start the party.
Yeah.
Anytime you're with the, like, I hate saying augmented reality, but anytime when
That's the new
you're with the
catchphrase.
camera and you have your prop, like, you can just tell that it's working.
Yeah, and there was not a single hitch when I played Start the Party with the
Other than the game itself.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly the case. Playing iToy, which is basically a set of little
iPad, you mean?
Yeah, iPad, I'm sorry. Which is basically a set of little tech demo challenges for you to play with.
And dress up.
When you get to see yourself holding the Move and then kind of have that augmented reality with these like little tools, you can actually see it twist and turn, and you can really get a feel for this object. Like, there's this nice little demo with it where you have a little baseball glove and a ball that you just toss around for your pet to pick up. And I actually caught myself, scooping up the ball, with the Move, and it worked pretty well. That being said, when the motion controls are more of an abstraction, like with Kung Fu Rider, the game I just reviewed, where you don't get to see the Move in action, it's more just, waggling back and forth, jerking it up, making these sweeping movements. That's when you kind of hit a little bit of a wall with the Move. To me, it did not handle that very well. It felt like Wii minus Motion Plus.
Now, I can kind of go back to what Miguel was saying. It's how the game sort of programs the tech into it.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the technology. I think we're all in agreement that we're pretty impressed with it. It works well. It's solid, other than a few anomalies in some games. Let's talk about the software, because hardware, as we say all the time, hardware is worthless without games to play with it. So how do you guys feel about the initial launch batch?
Well, I'm excited to see Bocce finally showing up.
Oh, yeah, I think
the world was waiting for Bocce Ball.
Speaking of Sports Champions, it's undeniable that doing that stuff is fun, right? Like, it works well enough where you kind of most of the time feel that you're actually playing the sports. But if you're asking whether or not this is anything new, anything that gets you super excited, not really. Like, especially this first run of software, it's all the same shit we've been playing.
'Cause let's face it, Sony isn't trying to sell the Move to its existing customers. It would love to do that.
Wii
and that would be great if it did that. But what it's really trying to do here is to snag some of the audience from Nintendo. When people go to buy a console going forward, now buy the PS3 instead of the Wii. Is there any game? Is there a killer app for this thing at launch?
I think the best one would be what Ryan played, Tumble.
But I think it has limited appeal. It's a solid
puzzle game.
It's a solid puzzle
Right.
game, but it doesn't have, the augmented reality. It doesn't have that
No.
kind of, like, even with the multiplayer, it's fun, but it's not that kind of, like, sporty fun. This is a little more cerebral. It's chaotic, so it has that angle to it, and it's a solid game. I was constantly surprised on how much new stuff they were packing in with each level.
Yeah.
But it's still not. It's a solid game. It's not what you're going to buy the system for.
Yeah, it's not gonna be what makes
And you
you
can't even bring
excited
it.
about
And it's
everything.
DLC,
Yeah.
so you can't even bring it over to your friend's house, with your Move to show it off there. So
Now, Wii Sports Resort and Wii Sports versus Sports Champions. What's the better game?
I think Wii Sports Resort there's just more to it. It's got more of a sort of, it's got more soul than Sports Champions. You've seen me play it. It just seems really generic, really.
It looks like they use the
PlayStation Home.
the characters for PlayStation Home in all their Move games.
And I don't know. I think that's really awful. I can't think of a more sort of generic aesthetic than that which you see in PlayStation Home, and it's just kind of a bummer to see it carried out. Like, I don't know.
I mean, there's no denying that, Move games look technically better than Wii games, but
Sure.
like with Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, it has more
Style.
It has more
character.
it has more character. It just seems more whimsical and more fun. Like, I think after playing this for a week, I would get tired of looking at that world and looking at those characters. Like, I think they're all universally stupid.
So that's not a very glowing endorsement, because would you say that that's probably, if there is one game that's a selling point for Move, that it's Sports Champions?
Yeah, but it's
Matt and Brooks.
it's
the party mini.
It's a decent showpiece for the technology. And
Well,
the game,
people think of the Wii, they think of Wii Sports, they think of bowling, they think
Right.
of tennis.
and the games are fun.
How many
I
games
mean,
are there? There's only 6 in there, right?
There's 6, yeah.
And they got the volleyball and they got the bocce ball. I was addicted to the frisbee golf. I thought that was pretty fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, is it better than the Tiger Woods Wii Motion Plus frisbee golf?
I like Tiger Woods a little bit better.
Really, on the
Yeah.
Wii?
It seems
On the
like
Wii, I do.
the Tiger Woods one is like
Much more variety and much more going on.
and it's less forgiving. This one, it seems like if you kind of get close to the goal, it'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
like a
And I think we have to spend some more time with it. But right now, the bowling game just seems like crap.
I played it months ago at GDC, and it was a total piece of
I
crap.
played 2 sets, and I don't know if maybe there's just some learning curve, but like it's always yelling at you that you're like not in the view, and it just doesn't feel right. Like I can't put. I need to spend more time with it, but I just can't put my finger on it. It just does. It did not click with me at all. Which is funny because bowling is like arguably the best Wii Sports game, and it was in Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort.
So the launch of Move's still a little ways away for everybody. The reviews will keep rolling in as that date comes closer. Should people go buy this thing?
I'd say wait for now, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Unless this sort of stuff really, really appeals to you, and you think you're gonna get the patch for Mag and Heavy Rain, and you're gonna try play Ruse on your PS3 with your Move instead of on your PC.
MotorStorm.
Maybe. But right now, there's the compelling software is not there for I think the Invisible Walls audience.
Miguel?
Yeah, I mean, if you already have the capability to play these kinds of games, in others, if you already have a Wii.
What if you don't have a Wii? Does that change either of your impressions if that people don't have a Wii?
Well, do you have a PlayStation Eye? I mean,
Right.
Is this going to cost you more than a Wii at this point?
Right.
Well, if
yeah.
you want to play multiplayer games, it's going to.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing new here, and yeah, you bring up a good point, right? Like the equivalent of the nunchuck for the PlayStation Move doesn't have the
accelerometers,
right?
Yeah.
So it's literally just like a stick and a mode of selecting menus. Like it's kind of pointless. So I don't know. I don't think there's a really compelling reason to go out and buy this just yet. I'm still waiting, and I know we've talked about this before, but hopefully with the Move and with Kinect, the release of those will give these developers who haven't really messed with the Wii yet, it'll give them a reason to apply their expertise to these kind of motion controlled games, and personally that's what I'm waiting for.
Okay, that's going to do it for our special Labor Day edition of Invisible Walls here on GameTrailers.com. We hope everyone is having a very restful weekend. I know
At
I have
PAX.
at PAX.
Yeah.
I know I have like 8 fantasy football drafts this weekend, so I'm going to be sitting on the couch a lot, relaxing. Hopefully everyone out there is doing a little barbecuing, doing some beer cracking. We'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a great long weekend. Invisible Walls is up and out.